Hi, it's Dom from Clean Page Design, and I recently saw on LinkedIn a post where someone was having an issue with WordPress blocks nesting inside one another, where it meant that because of settings in the style sheet, they were getting a left-hand indent that they didn't want, so they got a block and then an indent and a block, and then, so the blocks were nesting inside each other, and that's not what they wanted. They wanted them to be separate. So I wanted to walk you through a tool that's in there called the list view, and that allows you to see what blocks you've got on your page and how they're lining up and how they relate to each other. So I'm going to add some sample blocks, just paragraphs, to this page just to show you an idea of where we are. So 2 and 3, normal paragraphs. Other paragraphs, because when you click inside one of the blocks and go across the toolbar, you get the blue border, and these are all separate. But sometimes what happens, if I put a quote in after here, I'm going to group these blocks. Okay. Sometimes what happens is we're going to add something after this quote, another paragraph. And here it looks fine because there's no style applied to this other than the text styles and normal. So there's no indent on this. This is fine. But if we bring up the list view, which is in this 3 lines here, you'll see that that paragraph we've added is actually inside this group, but we don't want that. We want it to be a separate entity. So with the list view, as you can see, you can hover over these, you can see what is where. So this group contains the quote and it contains another paragraph, but we didn't want that other paragraph. We wanted the quote and the citation. This paragraph should be outside. As you can see, I can expand and contract these different elements that have got nested items inside. And if I wanted to move this paragraph from inside this group to outside this group, I can left click and hold down, and when I start to move it, you'll see this blue line appears. I want to put it ahead of this group, above. I don't want it inside. So now this is separate from this group. This group is here, the paragraph and the quote, but this inside paragraph is now outside. Now, another thing you can do to add something where you want it, rather than using the plus icon to add it and it puts it where WordPress thinks you want it, is to use the insert before or insert after control. So with this group highlighted, just contract that so we can see it's a separate thing. Let's say we want to put a paragraph after this, but we don't want to use this because that would put it inside, as we've just seen. So we highlight the group in the left-hand side in the list view, across to the options, and we can insert after. So let's call that after. And that paragraph is now separate from this group. We inserted it after. And the same thing is true if we want to put one ahead of it, above it, we can use insert before. And another thing you'll notice with these, the toolbar that appears here, is we've got this move up, move down control. So if we wanted this inside paragraph to be below the quote, we can use this to move it below the quote, and you can see how that works on here. So using the list view, using the insert before, insert after, and also grabbing hold of paragraphs and moving them within the list view, we can arrange blocks in a way that we want and hopefully get away from that problem that we come across where we end up with blocks nested inside blocks that, when a style is applied, sometimes means you have indent after indent after indent, which actually looks a lot like this list view icon. So to get away from that, we use insert before, insert after with the list view, and then we can also use move up and move down to arrange our blocks the way we want them, not the way that WordPress thinks we want them.